Hi, welcome back to Nasty Girls Clubhouse. I'm Kim.
I'm Cassie.
So I plan on elaborating so much more on feet pics, an ordained minister, girl with rhymes.
Yeah.
But today we do have a very special guest that we want to introduce to you.
Yes. She is a competitive shooter. She's also an instructor. She's a model, an actress, an athlete. Many of you may know her from her skin or avatar on Call of Duty. She goes by Iskra on there. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Jade Struck. Thank you. Alrighty. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And Jade, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for being here.
So if you want to introduce yourself for us, let us know your sign and where you're from.
My zodiac?
Zodiac
Yeah.
sign.
Okay, my name's Jade Struck. I'm an Aquarius, and I live in Boise. I'm from California, and I met Cassie through a business partner of mine, Caleb, and I just met Kim, and I love you already. And we're here to get nasty, girl.
Yes, we're here to get nasty.
Actually, I want to say happy belated birthday. Her birthday was a few days ago. You're
Thank you.
23, going on
23, girl.
the wisest 23-year-old I've ever met in my life.
Thank you. And it's funny, I'm a twin. Thank you. And my twin called me, and she sang me happy birthday, and I usually get really uncomfortable with my birthday. Like, it's just one of those things. But, so I celebrate my sister's birthday instead of mine. And so she called me, and she sang me happy birthday. And then she was like, okay, now it's your turn. And I'm like, okay, but it was really cute. But that's one thing I like about my birthdays.
I had no idea you had a twin.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You do.
She's cool. She's an EMT right now, and she's in college to be a firefighter.
Oh, wow.
Like my mom. She's really cool. And she's tall, and she's a stud. She's like got bigger muscles than me. She's awesome. But she still lives in California, and I think that's like the hardest thing. I just did a movie. Let's talk about it, okay? I did a movie. I played a stripper.
Girl.
Huh?
I said promote yourself.
Thank you. Well, and I think, like, I haven't really talked about it because, like, it's one of those things that, unless you're talking to women, like, people don't get it. Yeah. But I was playing a stripper, and I took the role because it had a lot of meat on the bone with everything that she was going through. And, with me, I'm from the shooting, it's all, like, most of the roles you would get typecast as, like, action. And this was the opposite of it. It was really emotional. It was really fucking heavy. And I had some difficulty with the character of, like, really actually liking her. Because I thought that, she was such a victim and she really, like, did it to herself. And she's crying all the time. And I'm like, stop fucking crying. Yeah. And she's crazy. And so I was playing her and I hated her. But I understood her. So I took the job. And because she cried so much and she was so emotional, the director was like, can you cry? And I was like, I can cry, but it's not going to be pretty. And so I go in to do this scene, right? And of course, like, I'm topless, and they want me crying, and I'm in my fucking underwear, and I'm so over it. And like, I thought about some things that I'm emotional about, and I ended up just getting really pissed off. And so then I had to go back and think, like, what is going to really get me there? And I thought about my sister and how much I miss being away from her. And dude, it was like waterworks. It worked like a charm.
Wow.
And it made it way easier. But being away from her, like, I didn't realize really how strong the connection was. I think it's probably going to be stronger than any other connection I have with anyone else in my life. As real as it is, like, I think relationships are one thing. It's a back and forth thing. But with the twin side of the fence, it's just a hard one.
Yeah.
And you also have that, like, loyalty and trust to each other, so that never wanes.
Yeah.
And so that was the story about missing my sister. But it was good. The stripper movie was crazy, girl. I busted up my knees and then... Huh?
What's that called, the movie?
It's called Be Nice, You're in Eden.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah, it was... I jumped onto it, like, last minute. The director called my fiance, Rudy, and said, hey, I'm doing this movie. I wrote the script, but, it's about a stripper, blah, blah. Do you know any actors that dance? And he was like, actually, my fiance dances. I've done pole dancing for like 4 years. Never been a stripper, but I think it's pretty easy once you get into it. The dancing part is like the only thing. Yeah. And I looked at the script and I liked it, and And then next thing you know, I was in Oregon. I'd never done a movie before. I'd never read lines before. And all of a sudden, I'm a lead in a movie. And it was nerve-wracking, but it was fucking awesome.
That is insane. I was actually
it was fun
about that. So obviously this is my first time interacting with you, but I had to do a lot of my own like stalking and research on you. And so the movie came up, but also I like read your bio on Facebook, and it was just like it just mentioned basically how multi-talented you are. Like, I didn't know about the acting. I knew that you like trained some people. But then I even saw like singing on there and writing and public speaking, which I feel like that probably comes natural to you. But singing, okay, so what's going on there? Do you want to have a singing career?
Yeah, we were actually, so we talked about we're moving to South Carolina, but before we decided we were going to South Carolina, we were going to go to Nashville. And I was like, if I'm going to go to Nashville, like, I'm going to do this thing. Because when I was young, I didn't know what I was going to be, but I knew that I wanted to do something in the entertainment business, and I always loved to sing. So I figured that I would be a singer, and I did the talent shows and all that shit. But then as I got older, I started writing music. And then recently, like, right next to me, I have, like, my PA system and my mic. And I've just been writing a lot more recently, and then playing the music and singing and picking on the guitar. And so, yeah, eventually I would like to. And I think it's kind of going to be just one of those things where I'm not, to, like, make a career out of it, I wouldn't do it for money. I would do it just because I love it. And it would just be, like, another thing that I do to express myself. And I really think that, I don't know if I was born to do what I'm doing right now. I really enjoy it and I love it. But I think that if there's something that I've always felt like this is what I'm going to do and be, it's been singing and music. And so it's something that I'm working on. But kind of like with my acting, like I went to acting school. It was like a fucking cult. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And they're always yelling at you and they're trying to make, and then like, it was too much. And I was like, everybody was so like bought in so hardcore to this like cult-like mentality. And I was like, yo, I'm a free thinker. Like, I'm not into this. So I, like, booked it out of there. And also it was really real. Like, it was actually, interesting enough, it was an acting class, but it was for boys. And it was a voice class, which is why, Cassie, I appreciate your voice. Because it's one of the first things I noticed about people is, are they speaking from their heart? And you can tell by the inflection on their voice and where it comes from and how they breathe and things like that. And so it really made you look inward and kind of sit with yourself for a second. It's almost like meditation too. And it was so heavy. I was like, I'm not in any place mentally or physically or spiritually to even be doing this right now amongst a bunch of these people that are like actors from Hollywood. And the same thing with the singing is I don't know if I really ever want to be traditional. I kind of just want to like do my thing and like go all over the map. And most people would say like, why would you do that? But I just met a singer the other day, and he was talking about really focusing on like pronunciating words. And I thought that was so unnecessary to focus on, because it's not really about what you're hearing, it's what you're trying to convey and what you feel when you sing it. And so I'm like, I'm not really looking for people to fully understand that I'm saying and versus and, or, or making, it's all about noises and vibrations at that point.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like, I'm just gonna go off the book when I do it,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I
What
sing.
music do you normally listen to?
I listen to everything. I grew up on country music. So I sing a lot of, I think I actually have like a natural twang in my singing voice. Also like a little bit of blues, and I sing more down low, but I'll go up high. I really don't care. Just kind of depends on everything. But,
I want to hear this.
Thanks, but the music side of it, like the music I make up for, is way more rock and roll than anything. Okay. But I'm also into like electric, so it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's very Miley Cyrus. I could see why that kind of went to her, because she can do anything. Like
and I was listening to a couple of podcasts, or it wasn't a podcast. It was like some interviews from like the greats. Like there was like Bowie and like Bono and like all these wonderful. Neil Young was on there. And they were talking about when you're singing music, sing it for yourself, And one thing I love about Miley is that even though people, and when you're in the court of public opinion, people are going to love you and hate you no matter what. She's always written her own narrative, and she's always spoke her mind, and she's always been out there. But for a long time, I felt like in the beginning, she wasn't able to be herself. And so when she got out of like the Hannah Montana like phase, she went a little crazy because she was finding like it was never me. She was acting. And sometimes the problem with acting, and this is something that I'm afraid of when my music or when my movie comes out, is that people are going to think that the role I'm playing is really me, and it's not. You know, it's just like when you're out. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Dolly Parton. Are you familiar with her?
Of course, we love Dolly.
It's okay, great, yeah, Dolly. But she, you know, she wears a wig and her boobs are fake, and it's totally a persona, so that she can separate like her work from who she really is as a person. And that is really necessary. And like for somebody like Miley, there is no break in that, and so it seems like there's a lot more heat on her because of it. But she handles it well, and I really like where she's at, like philosophically right now. She's really in a place of learning and growing. And she said something about, and we talked about it before we hit record on this, about me starting my podcast and saying, well, what I thought a week ago is not how I feel today. And even she had said, what I felt and thought 5 minutes ago is not how I feel now. And I've never heard something more real. And I think people, in my life, have a hard time really understanding that. They're like, well, you just said it 5 minutes ago, how can it change? But if you're open to receiving, then it should be coming in, information should be coming in and out all the time. And so we should be constantly evolving, even if we don't like it, right? Even if it's like uncomfortable. So that's why I really like her, is that she's giving.
Honestly, I feel like staying stagnant is worse than evolving your beliefs or your ideas or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, and experimenting, right? And I think the thing about like human beings is that we're always hopefully on a quest for more, right? To better ourselves or to deepen our understanding of things, or to obtain more knowledge, or to dig deeper into who we are, especially in a day like today where everybody's sitting inside. So are you really reflecting? Are you looking at your faults? Because I think a lot of us, I got into a conversation with Rudy about it last night, aren't able to be completely honest with ourselves, which is why we can't have honest interaction in public, right? And there's a lot that goes into it, but are we taking the time to reflect and look and say, okay, well, these are my areas of weaknesses, and these are my areas of strengths, and how do we fix what's weakened with the strength and really try to become, you know, full-rounded individuals? But it's a long journey, and it takes a lot of like hardship, and it takes a lot of like chiseling away. It can be painful.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you too, because you seem so genuine, like in your line of work, do you ever feel like you have to look a certain way, or that you've had to be a certain way?
I think yes, but also I've chosen it now. Because I think yes and no. I think that they're going to love you if you do it, and they're going to love you if you don't, no matter what industry you're in, right? And like me in particular, have been in the hot seat quite a bit, and have been somebody that has been criticized a lot in the industry. And I don't judge people for that, because it's only natural. And, you know, we as human beings have a very like mob-like mentality, whether it's right or wrong. We tend to rally behind, you know, beliefs and causes and ideals. But I think that, like for me in the shooting industry, it was hard because I didn't get a lot of respect in the beginning, because, and I don't think I'm beautiful, but at the time it was like, you know, oh, well, there's this pretty young girl shooting, you know, she's just, and they have this term called gun bunny, right? And I made it a personal like requirement for me to be able to back up my looks and my appearance with my skill set. And so I purposefully, you know, didn't wear makeup when I went to matches, purposefully, you know, toned myself down so that my skill set could speak for itself, and then didn't want to even talk about it. I just wanted it to be there and say, well, if you think it's great, great. If you don't, then okay. I don't either. But, you know, like, so I have a bald head, as you guys know. And I'm wearing a wig because I miss my long hair, and it's cold out here. It's snowing. Yeah. So this helps. But, you know, I shaved my head, and people were like, you know, oh, she's gone crazy. It was in a very transformative time for me. But there was a lot of reasons why I did it. For one, my hair was getting in my way, but now I would like that problem again. But because it got in my face when I was trying to shoot. And it was just a mess. I didn't want to do it all the time. I was working so much that I didn't have the time to even think about how I looked. But I shaved it, and it also kind of freed me from, and showed me how people really want you to be what they want you to be. You know, I get messages all the time like, grow your hair back out. And, oh, you should do this, and you should do that. And what I loved about shaving my head is I did it for myself, and I also made a statement that I'm not doing anything for anyone else. And it did make me look harder, and it did make me look more masculine, and I was okay with that because inside I feel like I am very feminine, but at the same flip of the coin, I'm very masculine, especially being in an industry where you have to be, right? Like you have to be able, especially for me, I was talking about, I had a manager, we're still cool, but he doesn't manage me anymore. And I say it's because like I'm unmanageable because my MO isn't money and it isn't like notoriety, it isn't any of those things. I just really like the work. So I just want to shoot because I love shooting. And shooting's been there for me through like the hardest times of my life and the best times of my life. And it's just the act of doing it, which is why I want to do it. So I don't take a lot of jobs and I don't say yes to a lot of things and I don't want a bunch of sponsors. I just want sponsors that I love and have a good relationship with, right? Like Blackwater, I'm grateful because I called Caleb like a week and a half ago and I said, hey, can I shoot your guns? Like, because I've got people calling me wanting me to shoot their guns, but I want to shoot your guns. So if you want me to shoot your guns, I'll shoot your guns. If not, I won't. But I'm just letting you know, like, if I had to choose first, I'd choose you. And Caleb said, yep, and he's building me my guns, and I'm super grateful. But, you know, it's like, I don't want to it's not about anything other than the relationships that I've built through it, and especially getting to know the people that I have. Like, the people in my life now, really tight-knit, really thinned out, but all super great people. And so I feel safe, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, so now like when I looked at my image the other day and I'm like, you know, it's different than it used to be, but I'm okay with that because I want to be able to have it. If I want it to be harder, it will be. And if I want it to be super feminine and I'm in a red fur coat with a red wig and a white outfit, then it will be, you know, and it doesn't need to fit and mold. And at this point, you know, I've been through the ringer so much, I'm like, fuck it if anybody likes me, you know what I mean? I'm like, I just want to express myself, you know?
Well,
So,
you know you are not normal. You're an anomaly, especially, again, I keep saying, but to be so young, you are beautiful. You're a fucking badass. You're so talented. Like, of course that's going to ruffle feathers, regardless of what you do. Exactly, it says. So, you could be in a moo-moo at the grocery store and someone will still get upset, you know?
Right. So. Well, and yeah, and it's just a people thing. And I feel like and I'm sure both of you guys know because you're both beautiful and you're also very likable and something, you know, about, you know, when people have that thing in their personality where you're just like, I just want to hear them speak and I just like want to be around them. It rubs people either the wrong way or they get like false ideas of what you're trying to get out of an interaction, which is really just, you know, a friendship or a back and forth with something of substance. And people take it for what they will. And at the end of the day, like the thing about podcasts too, but about life is, and I've learned this, is you can you can put out whatever image you want, you could say whatever you want, you could try to convey a message as hard as you want, but you play such a small amount in what people think about you. And so when I was filming the podcast, I realized, I was like, well, if I only play this much in how people think about me, then let this be really authentic. So that way, if they hate me, they really fucking hate me. Yeah. And they don't hate some idea of me where I was like, well, I wasn't being myself anyways. You know what I mean? And then there's that regret of, well, I should have just been myself in the first place. And I think people are so concerned with being liked or loved or blah, blah, blah. But when you've had both, you can realize that as long as you're good inside yourself and the people around you are people that you admire and you love and you respect and they love you back, then who the fuck cares? You know? But it gets lonely.
That Aquarius energy.
Yeah. Yeah, girl.
So we went a little off, but no, I mean, that was great. How did you begin your journey? Like you're so successful. I mean, where did you get your start?
So we'll take it all the way back. So I grew up, my dad was a police officer, my mom's a firefighter, so both of them are very aggressive. Mm-hmm. Too aggressive, right? But great, because I grew up in this household where, especially with my dad, he had 3 girls and he raised us like boys. And so I grew up hunting and I grew up shooting and I grew up riding horses and mutton busting, which, do you know what mutton busting is?
No.
No? Okay, so mutton busting is like a child's version of bull riding. And they put you on the back of a sheep and you hold on to the fur, or the fur of the sheep, and you ride it for as long as you can. And if you win, you probably get like a pair of Justin boots or something. Oh, and so I grew up mutton busting. It was so fun. Yeah, and I grew up, with my twin sister and my older sister, so I had my counterpart, my other half, so I was never alone. And we were like little boys. We were always beating shit out of each other and shooting guns and riding around. And so I started shooting probably, I say when I was 8, but I'm sure it was probably before that. Like I drove a truck when I was like 4. I would say, oh my God. So I don't know when I started. But I grew up shooting when I was young. And I always took it really seriously, and I never understood why. But my twin would talk shit about my shooting. And I would take it so to heart. I remember one day she had made a comment about my shooting, and I swore to myself I was never going to shoot with her again, right? Because she hurt my feelings, and I didn't know why I was so pissed about it. And then, fast forward, I've been hunting since I was 8. So, I grew up in the outdoorsman kind of world and loved it. And then when I was 18, I saw a shooting competition. Oh no, I was 16. When I was 16 years old, my dad took me to go see a shooting competition. And I was like, wow, that's like real life Call of Duty. Like, that's fucking awesome. At the time, I was playing World of Warcraft. And I was playing like Halo. And so I was playing these video games, and I was like, wow, this is like real life video games. I didn't know that there was this side of the shooting sports, right? And so I thought it was awesome, but I was 16, and so I was still in school. So I saw it, thought it was awesome, went back to my life. And then when I was 18, I got an opportunity to learn how to shoot for competition. So I got a lesson from a girl named Jessica on a draw cycle, and got to see it and really dove deep. But at the time, to be completely honest with you, I had an eating disorder and like body image issues. So I couldn't actually hold up the gun. And I was so in love with it because it gave me something that I knew that I was really going to like and enjoy, this kind of journey of discovery of what I'm able to do through shooting. But I couldn't back it up with the physicality. So then I said, if I want to do this, which I did, and I commit to everything that I do, then I'm going to do it all the way. So I gave up the eating disorder and problems that I had with it. I started training, redefined my relationship with myself as far as like health and what I deserve, and taking the time to put in to get out. And that's where like my relationship with food got really good, because I'm like, well, this is going to help me perform. So I have to do this. And then I learned how to eat right. And I started working out, and I had no instruction at all. So I was just like trying to figure it out. And that was when I was 18. So that was 5 years ago. And hi, sorry, my kid.
No. Hi, Kitty.
And so, yeah, he's sleeping. He's the coolest, man. So fucking cool. His name's Onyx. So awesome. Black cat, super cool. Got him when I was 16. But and then from there, like, I just started training. And the funny thing is that I didn't have a lot of ammo to shoot, so I was dry firing a ton. And so my skill set really came from that first lesson, and then me just trying to define it more and more, and then also crack the code in my head. And that's when I started teaching, is because I realized that all of the instructors out there, and I got to work with some different ones, they didn't really understand the mindset of being a beginner and not understanding how things worked, right? Like, not understanding the psychology behind it. And so then I started breaking it down from my, young shooting mind of how do I really get the best that I can be. And that's when I started teaching, is because I was like, well, I'm going to simplify it to the fullest extent for all shooters, and break it down to, like, in shooting, everything happens within like 10 to 30 seconds. So now we're thinking in like milliseconds. So now my brain started shifting of how can I shave off milliseconds, and how can I really refine it. And then, I've just practiced and dry fired every single day, and I still don't think I'm shit, but we're working on it. And I took a year off really to see if this is something that I even wanted for myself, because my dad got me in it, and I was doing it to make him proud, because, I dropped out of high school when I was 17, and I went to work because my parents, my dad was retired by the time I was born. He's older, so he started his own company and sold hay for horses. And so I learned that, being a blue-collar family, I had to go and make a living, because I dropped out of high school and I got to provide. And especially for my cats, when I was like 17, I was like, I don't have money to feed these things. I got to get it together. So I went to work, and I felt like, how am I going to make my family proud, being a high school dropout and being really rebellious and really going against the grain and wanting to express myself, and doing all the things that my parents told me not to do, like putting gauges in my ears and dyeing my hair black and putting my fingernails and shit, and tattooing my fingers when I was 17 years old with a stick and poke. I'm like, how am I going to make because they thought my dad thought I was going to end up in prison. And I'm like, I'm not going to end up in prison. I'm going to make you proud. And so then I became a shooter, and I did make him proud. But then I realized that was I doing it for everyone else and not for myself? And so I really had to look inward and see, if I am doing it for myself, then what's the why? And it's because shooting has always been something that was important to me since I was young. And so it's getting back to the roots of why I started in the first place, which is because I fell in love with it. And so now I'm back shooting again. Now I'm really fucking serious about it, which is why I called Caleb, and I'm like, Caleb, I need a gun. Because I'm trying to shoot competition. And I want to shoot the Blackwater pistol. Because I felt it at SHOT Show, and I refused to use any other pistol until it came out. So I've been using my Glock 17 carry gun. And I'm like, damn it, Caleb, is it coming out or is it not? And can I have one or can I not? Can I shoot your gun or no? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, then let's fucking do it. Yeah. And so now I'm really serious about it. And I'm really excited just to prove to myself what I'm capable of. And it doesn't have anything to do with what the industry thinks about me, what my fellow competitors think about me, what my parents think about me, what anybody thinks about me, other than, it's really not even about what I think about me. And, you know, if you know me, then I have a relationship with the Lord. And my life now is focused on what is my mission? Why did he put me here? Because I know I was born for a reason, right? And so I'm like, what is that he needs me to accomplish? And he's given me a platform, so what does he want me to use it for? And so I'm on that journey right now, trying to figure out, you know, what am I here for, and what's my message, and how is it going to help people? Especially, how is it going to help women, right?
That's actually a good way to get into our next question with, what advice would you give to the younger generation?
Yeah, she is the younger generation too, but
I am. But you know, I got a little cousin, and damn, she scares the shit out of me because she's beautiful, and she's a lot like me. She struggled in school, and she's going through it. And my biggest advice to her has been, you know, don't worry about what people think about you. Because, you know, when you were in school, the smart kid was like a nerd, and he was lame, right? But he's the one working at NASA. And all of the jocks who fucking were in high school and shit, the football team, I don't know what they're doing, but, you know, one of them, my sister went to EMT school with, and he failed the class 6 times. And I'm like, well, you know, you were popular in high school, but you can't get through an EMT course that my sister passed in 6 weeks. So I'm like, you know, what are you doing? And even girls that I grew up with that were popular, and they were cheerleaders, and they were the antithesis of everything I believed in. One of them just got arrested. And it was all over the media. And I was like, damn, like, what people think about you when you're young really has nothing to do with you, and more so about them projecting. And it's so even prevalent when we're adults, right? Being women especially too is, you know, women are going to project their ideas of what they are and their insecurities onto you. And men are going to project what they want from you onto you. And if you're not willing to be that for them in their fucking mind, then they hate you for it, and they're going to call you a bunch of names. So my biggest advice for young women would be, don't concern yourself about what people think about you, or about what you're wearing, or about getting your nails done, or having an iPhone, or all that shit. And worry about how are you going to develop the skills that you need to be a strong, independent woman when you grow up that is also still capable of love and affection, and to be nurturing, and to be well-rounded as a woman, and to be all the things that make women beautiful, but also to be the one in your life that carries you there. And, you know, I grew up, my mom was a single mom, firefighter, bad bitch, right? Because nobody wanted her to be a firefighter. And she taught me to be independent, but she was so far on the other end. She never had really a solid relationship with a man, and she was never really fully in love. And I see her still to this day struggling with the fact that she was so dominant and so independent that she didn't make any room for anything else in her life. And so my advice would be is work on being the woman that you want to be, and don't worry about what your family thinks, or what your peers think, or what even your siblings think. Worry about what's going to make you proud of you, and what's going to make you fulfilled at the end of the day when you go to sleep, you know.
That's amazing advice.
I'm going to plug my computer in. But
I think I did care so much before of what everyone thought about me.
Yeah. Well, and it's normal, right? Because it's normal for women. Like, to to want to be people pleasers. But I found out that shit will get you fucked up. You know, like you can't do anything for anyone else, because at the end of the day, if you're not fulfilled, you're not going to even be able to give to yourself or your loved ones. Like, that's been the hardest thing in my relationship is, how do I do the work in my own life and my own heart so that I'm available to be there for you, so that I can give to you, right? It's contentment.
Yeah, it's funny too, and I think, you know, both of us and like the people that we will have on our show all tend to be very independent, like very strong-willed people. I was kind of going to ask you like about your parents' relationship. You explained it already, but so my mom or my parents have always been together, but like never a couple, you know? So my mom has always taught me like, you do everything yourself. You go get it yourself. You do everything, but which is amazing. But now it's almost to a fault, you know, in my relationship as an adult, because like I'm uncomfortable asking for help. I don't like, you know, I value my independence a lot, and it's hard. So I feel like that impression that my mom put on me is just like,
Can stifle you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My Bible study teacher told me the best. She had said, you know, she's trying to do something nice for me, and I told her I didn't want it, right? I told her, no, I'm good. Like, I don't need it. And she said, Jade, you have to let people give you gifts. You have to let people give you things, right, and you receive them, because most of the time they're not doing it for you, they're doing it for them. And I understand that. Like, I understand I'm a giver, you know, like I do things out of love. It's like my love language, right? Like I do acts of service completely. And that's why I love shooting, is because it's nurturing. Teaching really is because it's nurturing for me. I get to take especially women and teach them about a side of themselves that they didn't know that they had. And I get to carry them on this journey and give them all the information that they need so that they can go out in their life and take it with them and maybe teach their kids one day, right? Keep giving. And you have to let people give their gifts, whatever it is, you know, whether it's advice or it's love or if it's affection or if it's literally a physical thing. But whatever it is you have to allow people, you have to give and receive. You know, there has to be a balance. And I think that's the number one thing, is like, how do we find balance? How as women in today's day and age, where we're now being allowed to be, you know, executives and CEOs and business owners and head honchos and managers and really awesome things that we wouldn't have been able to be 60 years ago, right? While still maintaining the fact that we are women, you know, like I believe in being a strong woman, but I also believe in men. Like, I love men, you know, I love being taken care of, I love being nurtured, I love that my man can protect me. I don't have to be the protector of my wife all the time, even though I am that for him. It's how do we find a balance in our life to allow for there to be tranquility and allow us to really be ourselves as human beings, you know, to be all the things that we're meant to be.
Yeah, you know? I agree. These are some kind of basic, quick questions, but I want to know just because, do you have a favorite cocktail? Like, what's your go-to drink?
Okay, so if they have it, great. If they don't, okay. A lavender martini.
Oh, and so what's
And I drank one when I was with you out in where were we? We're in South Carolina, weren't we?
I don't know. Those are the lake.
We stayed by the lake. Yeah. But I had a lavender martini, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was like, that's it for me.
Yeah.
That's
or a glass of like red wine. That's the go-to. But cocktails, lavender.
What about favorite food?
Hamburger.
Hamburger? Okay, so just simple hamburger. Okay.
Yeah, you know, and with some bacon on it. You know, like let's and some avocado. Like let's put it all on. But I mean, like I could go for a hamburger at any given time.
Yeah.
Period.
So I know you've worked with Keanu Reeves and John Berthel. How did that even transpire? Like, how did you meet them? Were you starstruck? Like, do you fangirl?
So when I was young, like my dad was in the movie industry, and I met a ton of actors, and so I grew up in that space of understanding that they're really just people, right? The thing about actors is that because we as viewers see them in our home, we think that we already know them, and we think that they owe us something, or that, you know, that we think that there's something there that there's not, and really we're just watching their work, just like when you would go anywhere you would see something. So like for me, meeting these actors, sorry guys, I don't know what that is.
I know, sorry.
But it's okay. But meeting them, I wasn't really starstruck as much as I was like, I want to help you get your job done. So the reason why I was working with them was to prepare them for like upcoming films. And for me, it was like, how do I help build their confidence to make them perform better, and how do I add a piece of like me to what they're doing? So like with John Wick 3, I worked with Halle Berry, and she was kind of like a fresh canvas, and so I wanted to infuse my shooting into her, and I wanted to also infuse my confidence into her, because I wanted her to really be able to own that space,
Right.
and I wanted her to really be able to dominate it as an older woman in an action film, right? Which we're seeing a lot of. But I really wanted her to become it. Like I wanted her to become Sophia. I wanted her to become a shooter. And so for me, like Halle Berry, I've seen her work all over the place. But I am always timid because I don't want to put anyone off when I meet them. But that goes generally speaking. Like I think generally when I meet people at first, I'm a little shy. I mean, because like I need to figure out like who it is that I'm interacting with, and like where it's gonna go. And so, you know, with Halle especially, like with Keanu and John, like God bless them, but you know, they're dudes, like, you know, they're just like these dudes, and you know, they smell like sweat, and they're just like, you know, kind of like just limp, they're just walking around, like they're just guys. But like with Halle, it was kind of like this really nurturing environment that we got to really work in. And I got to go to the gym and work with her privately with her whole team, which was all female. And we really got to have this camaraderie, collaboration. And for me, it was really emotional because I was invested in her as a human being, but also she had gotten hurt. And so I was really wanting to make sure that she was going to be okay, and make sure that that confidence didn't go anywhere just because she got hurt. Because as you know, when you get hurt, either emotionally, but especially physically, it totally kills your confidence. Yeah. And you're like, wow, I'm really not as able as I thought I was. Like I got hurt once, and I had a really bad like leg injury happen. It was a flesh wound, but it also had bruised the interior of my muscle. And so my whole leg was down for like a week. And I remember thinking like how vulnerable we are as human beings. And also that I'm not really, you know, when you're hurt, like that's it. Like you have to start to work to mend and lick your wounds. And so it kills your confidence. So with her, I wanted to make sure that we didn't lose that. And so with the actor side of the fence, I was never starstruck so much as I was grateful to be in a position to help them do their job, in which I admire, and to be able to help build their repertoire so that they could take it with them, you know? Yeah.
I love it.
And I got into it at a place that I used to work at, and that's where I got to meet all those people. But
So if you had a choice, would you date John Wick, Keanu Reeves, or The Matrix, Keanu Reeves?
I would say, well, because like I knew Keanu during the John Wick series, like personally, that I would probably choose The Matrix because there's a little bit more like mystique there. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, like I wouldn't choose
either.
I wouldn't choose either.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you know what I mean? Like God bless Keanu, but like he's just not my type.
Right. Do you have a type? Like what
yeah.
Tell us.
Not like a physical type, but mm-hmm. I definitely have like I like masculine men. Mm-hmm. But that also comes not just so much in like the like stud department of like looking like one, but I love men that you know are providers and that also are hard asses, right? Yeah. Like I have a past of like a bunch of like men that, you know, they're when you walk into a room, they're the top.
Right.
That's my type. So
The males.
Yes.
yeah, I go for like who's the boss,
Yeah.
like in the environment, not literally, but like who's the top of the food chain. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm blessed because I got it now. Like for sure, we're locked in. We're gonna seal the deal with the marriage license. We're gonna call it a fucking day. But yeah. So it's always kind of been a pursuit to see like. Also because when you're a woman that is independent, I'm sure as you guys know, and also has like a whole thing that she's doing, whether it's her work or just her whole life is together, it's hard to date men that aren't the top, that aren't super masculine. Which is why I have a tendency to date older men, is because like men my age, they just can't. I'm like, what are you doing? Slow me down, you know, and like love you, appreciate you, you have a place here, but I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I thank God that I'm not in the dating pool today,
yes.
because which no shame, like some people love that too, but dudes today are so like they embrace their femininity, I guess is the word,
Yeah.
but which is good, you know, but to an extent, like not my style,
I
just
think
not my type.
yeah, all things in balance, right? Like, God bless Rudy. Rudy's like the ultimate man in my opinion, but he's also that because he's very sensitive and emotional and able to tap into that and express it.
Right.
And, you know, especially being a woman when I'm that way naturally, like I'm very sensitive as a person. My dad said to me, Jade, you're not emotional, you're sensitive. But I find myself these days being more emotional. Maybe it's just because my body's changing, you know, which I've noticed. And it's all new for me. Like my physical body is changing, my hormones are changing. I'm like, fuck, I feel like a woman. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Right? But I'm living. I love it. But you know, so like having a man that and Caleb's this way as well.
Yeah.
He's very creative. He's very, I would say, I don't know if he's emotional or not. I don't know him that well.
He
but
is.
like
He is sensitive, yeah.
do you
Or
see?
no, one of the two, but a great balance.
Both.
Yeah.
Probably both, yeah. And, you know, Rudy, like Caleb, is a stylist. And I feel like for men to be really stylish, they have to really be in tune with who they are as beings. Not so much about fitting a mold, but like who are they in their totality? Are they confident enough to express themselves through fashion, through their work, or, you know, through their verbiage? Are they able to do all those things? That to me is what makes a man. If you can't express yourself and own it, what are we doing?
Exactly.
You know, like,
Exactly like you're saying is what makes them so attractive and so appealing, and like you're just drawn to that, or anyway.
it's that confidence, you know.
Right. We mentioned, we were talking about, we like our men with a sprinkle of, obviously they're all sarcastic, but we like a little sprinkle, maybe an extra sprinkle of asshole.
Oh,
but
definitely. Yeah.
Oh, girl.
dash.
I had to go over that with Rico, and I was like, yeah, like
We called you an asshole.
A lot of asshole.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, there's a time and a place. I mean, like for me, unless I'm on my period, I can handle it. But if I'm on my period, I cannot fucking handle it. I'm like, you know, you're being mean, you're hurting my feelings, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, that's that toughness. Sorry guys, you're saying.
Right.
A nicotine pouch. But I remember Rudy, the first time I saw it in him. I don't ask for permission really, and this was the first time I've ever been in a relationship like this. And I asked him, hey, I got invited to go to Burning Man, and he was coming back home that week. Can I go? Which is, I don't know, I was testing the waters, we were in a new relationship. And he got so pissed at me. And he said, not only no, but fuck no. And I was like, yes, sir. I was like, you don't have to tell me twice, honey, let's do it. You know, like, fuck it. But I love that because I was like, I never had anyone tell me no. And so there wasn't that respect. And men want respect, women want love, right? And when he said not only no but fuck no, I was like, I can respect that, right? I was like, yes sir, I'll be at home waiting for you when you get here, you know.
Yeah.
But that's necessary, especially for women that are, you know, like we are, where we're exploring who we are as beings, not just as women, and learning to be leading in whatever it is that we're doing. We need that quick check. And that also that, you know, we're not the top of the food chain. And that we kind of need that. I like the humbling experience of it in its reality.
Yeah.
So this is my favorite part. So we're going to get a little spicy. Ready? Let's turn off this heat. So Do you feel like you're approachable, like in the dating world, in relationships? Where do you think you fall in line?
Well, okay, let's talk about it if I wasn't in a relationship.
Right.
Right. And I would say as a person, I'm approachable, but in an intimate way, I don't think I'm approachable at all.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm like, and because I'm somebody that will go and get whatever it is that I'm looking for, and I already know what it is that I want before I even commit to go getting it. And so, if it's not you, it's never gonna be you, and you're gonna know that like almost immediately. And I don't leave there even to be a space for there to be any kind of misunderstanding. So I would say no, not approachable, total fucking wall.
Okay.
In that regard, you know.
No, I mean, that's good that you're that way. I remember, like, this is just kind of random, but, like, in relationships, I'm horrible at, like, breaking up with people, but, like, I'll still be in a relationship with them, but I want to break up, and so I'll break up with them, but then be like, leave it to the notion that there's a chance that it could happen again, even though there's absolutely not. I'm horrible at that.
I understand. I mean, I can relate. But in my last, like, in a couple of well, really in all my previous relationships, it's been so cut and dry. I'm like, no, I'm done, bye. And it's really mean. It's so mean because I'm like, I'm gonna block you, you know. And it's always like with love. No, like I don't leave a door open, mainly because like it bothers me internally if there is one open because I don't like to leave things unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so for me, I just block. And if I can't break up with them, I just fucking block them.
You just ghost them. You're like, she died.
But yeah, you'll never hear from me again.
Yeah.
It's got to be something, right? Like, if you're saying that it's not going to work anymore, there has to be something. And I remember one time, my mom asked me why I broke up with my ex. Not my most recent ex, but like 4 exes ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I said his teeth smell bad. That was bullshit. I was just over it. But like, I was so over it because he was so fucking emotional, I couldn't handle it anymore. And then he had like a rotten tooth, and it was just putting me off so much. I was like, you know what, this is just making it a lot easier. And I know that sounds really asshole-ish, but it was like, it's as honest as I can be about it. You know, I was like, I can't do it anymore. And then he cried about it, and I was like, I don't care, so I blocked him.
Well, Cassie and I care about teeth a lot too, so I feel like that would be a breaking point for us too. You have a dead tooth, like, you gotta go.
Let me tell you guys this, actually. I don't even count him, but I was probably 14. Me and my boyfriend at the time went out to dinner, and he had braces. It's that time. And he had a gigantic piece of broccoli stuck in his braces. I literally broke up with him when I got home.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
braces.
I know. That's awful, but I did. I couldn't take it.
That broccoli. I mean, it must have sucked in other ways.
Yeah, right.
So it's
some underlying.
And I feel like when you really, like, what is dating? Dating is trying to find somebody that you're going to spend like the rest of your life with, right? And if you don't love them enough to say, there's a piece of broccoli in your tooth, or in my case, hey, you've got a dead tooth and it reeks, then in a nice way, right? Like, if you don't have the sensitivity because you love them, it's not going to work in the first place. And time is of the essence, babe. So, like,
time to move on.
Bye. Yeah. Cut and dry, girl.
Okay, I've got one. So we've already talked a little bit about the dynamic between you and your man. Are you more dominant or submissive in your relationship or in the bedroom too?
I'm totally submissive. But you know what? Sometimes, like, but I think we go back and forth. Like, I'm so grateful Rudy and I have, like, the healthiest sex life I've ever had in my fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I trust him, which I've had a hard time in my past with doing. And so I kind of just, it's kind of like it's really a back and forth, kind of like how fire dances with air. Mm-hmm. It's really an awesome sexual relationship that we have. But also the emotional relationship is there. Like, I've never been more in love with someone or in touch, or like, he's my best friend.
Yeah.
So he checks all the boxes. And of course we fight and we have our shit, but it's because we're both so intense and passionate as it is. But in the bedroom, I would say, like, I'm submissive for sure. But there's times where I'm just like, I'm gonna take the fucking lead on this. And I know that gets him because, like, I can, you know, like, you know how you can read body language and whatnot. And sometimes if I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna go for it, it just works like a charm.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the night, you know, like, but I would say for sure, like, even if I am if I'm the one with the incentive, if I'm the one pushing for something, I'm still the one that is submissive.
Okay.
And I've always been kind of submissive.
Valentine's Day, do you guys have any plans?
We're just gonna make love all day.
I'm
you
down.
know?
I love it.
Eat some chow. I could eat in front of him. That was like the biggest thing. Is like I remember when we started like really seeing each other. I was with him for like 3 days, and I realized at some point I was gonna have to eat something. And you know, like I had a problem with food, and the one thing that stuck with me after I got into training and all that was I don't like to eat in front of men, and I also want to be I want to just be on point with like everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like fast for the day, see him later tonight, and I'm gonna like my waist will be snatched, and we'll figure it out as we go. But like we were on day 3, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to eat at some point.
Yeah.
And so he helped me break through that, and he also had an eating disorder, and so we were able to work with each other on that. And one of our favorite things to do together is like sit down and eat a meal. Like it almost feels weird to eat without him. So most of the time I just won't. But I love that about us, is that we're able to sit and, like, you know, like old times when you'd sit and you'd convene over a meal.
Yeah.
There's something about it traditionally that is so intimate. And so, like, even that aspect of our relationship is awesome. So I'm grateful I can be expressive. And also try to
Cooking could be its own love language. That is very intimate. Food in general.
It is. Well, and like, I realized, like, when one time my dad got sick, and my dad's a cowboy, so he doesn't give a fuck. Like, he doesn't, if he's sick, he wants to be left alone, don't talk to me, you know, just like a dude. And I said, Dad, I'm gonna make you some chicken soup. Like, I'm gonna do it. Like, my mom taught me how to make chicken soup. It's the one thing I can cook. I'm gonna make you some fucking chicken soup. And it was delicious, but I cooked it all with love. And the whole time I was cooking it, the intention of this is gonna heal you was in it. And he didn't even want the soup. And I gave him one bowl. I said, just do me a favor, eat one bowl of this. And he ate it, and he was better the next day. And I really think that there's something about what you put in intentionally to whatever it is that you do, but especially with cooking, is what people are going to receive on a completely different level. You know, it is intimate.
Yeah. That is legit.
All right. What's the most unconventional place that you've gotten freaky?
In my life?
Yeah.
I love you so much. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about it. Fuck yeah, what? Guys, I don't know. I block so much shit out too. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like with like your douchebag ex-boyfriend, you're like, fuck you. I don't ever want to think about you again.
Yeah.
I would say like out in the wild. You know, like there was one point where we were out like not Rudy and I, but my first ex. It was like on a rock. But like with Rudy and I most recently, and it was really exhilarating. Like we went to the Snake River. And I think we went to just go check it out. But, you know, I was wearing like these, so I had these like pole dancing like shorts that were like this. They're jean shorts, but they're like, whoop!
Oh, yeah.
And so I was wearing those, and I had like my little like, you know, stars and stripes bikini on, like Americana as fuck. And there was like this little patch in like the river went this way, but there was like this little patch off to the side that people were still on the other side of this like bush walking. But we were up like knee deep in water. We just got freaky deep real quick. So that was like
in water.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay. You know when you're a kid, like you get freaky in random fucking places because you don't have anywhere else to go. Not when you're a kid, but like when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
You know, like there were those, but they weren't fun. This was fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is like whoa. You know.
Yep. Kim's is in an abandoned warehouse, so kind of outside.
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah.
And what?
An abandoned warehouse.
Yeah, that was my first sexual experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Different. That's cool.
Yeah.
Mine was not cool, girl.
I mean,
I don't want to get into
I'm going to go ahead and say it wasn't good. It was a fun experience because of like just being in a different atmosphere and environment.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, it's unconventional.
Is that ever good?
I don't know.
No.
Yeah, probably not.
No. Because you're trying to figure it out. Guys, I didn't really find out like how to have sex, like really how to, like where I fit into the whole thing till I was with Rudy. And like for like, I would say like a year.
Yeah.
You know, like into it. Because like I felt like,
I feel that same way with my husband. Like I didn't really explore my like sexual side until I was like with him.
Right. And see, like I explored mine, but it was never really like, I couldn't really enjoy it because it was like, you know, like pressure and shit, and you're like, I don't fucking know about this, and sometimes shit goes like crazy because you're trying to figure it out as you go. But like with him, you know, when you're with someone for so long, you get to know like their body and like how it works and like, you know, dimensions and shit. And so like it was like a year, probably more than that, but or like, you know, further down the line, maybe like a year and a half ago. But when I really started to like explore and then really start to find like where I fit into it, and then where I felt like I really got to feel confident in, you know, making love or having sex and all those things.
Yeah.
I think they're two different things too.
Yeah.
I think one's like, I think sex is super fucking nasty, like, you know, like you're just like getting freaky deaky, like you're just going off. And like making love is like beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
I think there's a time and place for both of them. Like when you're like makeup sex, that's like sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, we're fucking shit up, you know what I mean? Like, because I probably fucked up and I'm gonna try to fix this, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you like your man in boxers or briefs?
Neither.
Okay. I like it.
Neither.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hate boxers. I think they're the most unattractive thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree completely.
And like briefs, I think as well. I just think that they're awful.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is like Rudy doesn't wear underwear. I don't know why I know this. My dad doesn't wear underwear. I know it because I've never seen a pair of boxers or anything in my dad's laundry fucking ever. So I know he never wears underwear. And so like I've not known like the men of my life to wear underwear. So for me, I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that? But then you get into my underwear and it's fucking fun. You got straps and fucking tassels and shit. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, I don't know. I don't think men should wear underwear.
Do you wear any of your wigs in the bedroom? I'm envious. I want to wear wigs,
Me
but
too. I really do.
I know. I don't know
You
how that-
should.
I want to. I don't know how that works with
Hair.
like thick hair.
I guess you have to put like a cap on. I mean,
Right.
there's just like so much because do you do like the glue? Like
No, I don't do anything.
Come on,
So
right?
actually, a lot of,
I said, yeah, you just put them on, right?
Yeah, just throw that shit on.
Yeah.
Hustler makes, so like the Hustler Hollywood store,
Mm-hmm.
they had wigs, and I went in there when I was going to shoot this movie because I was going to look for like cute little outfits. And I'd gotten a wig from there, and I loved it because it has bangs. So you can't see the hairline, you can't tell that it's a wig other than it's really shiny and you can style it. And you can fit that shit on and it stays on. I mean, that thing stayed on while I was like dancing. And so I tested it in the field and it stayed. So, and we have, but it was mainly a fluke thing. Like it was kind of like, hey, I'm wearing the wig, and then the timing was perfect, so we're just doing our thing. But like I don't intentionally go into it with the wig on, mainly because like probably just gonna rip that shit off anyways, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Schitt's Creek? Have you ever watched that show?
Yes.
Love it.
I imagine that's how your house is. Like
just
you
like
just have.
full of wigs. They've got a name. No names.
Yeah. Well, my mom got me. So at first they were all just like laying everywhere, like they were fucking everywhere. So I probably got like 6 or 7. And some of them people have never seen because I wanted them to be like special for like a shoot or something.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, I showed her them, and she was like, Jade, like, why are they not on stands? I was like, I don't want a bunch of heads all over the house. Like, that's fucking weird. And so she got me these things off of Amazon that you stick your wig on and they hook onto things. So they hook onto, like, I put them on the shower rack, or the shower.
Yeah.
What's that thing called?
The rod.
The thing? Yeah, the rod. I hang them up on there, I put them on whatever, but then I've just got a bunch of wigs just hanging up. But I like it because I get to see them, say hi in the morning, how are you, you know?
Yeah.
But and it keeps them formed well.
Yeah.
Especially with like a lace front, if you let it sit, if you don't put it on a stand or something like that, the actual like lace part gets, like, it sticks out. So then you have to glue it down. And I don't want glue on my fucking head. Like, I think that it would freak me out. So you gotta hang out. But, well, it got really bright there. But yeah, so I recommend check out Hustler Hollywood, like, if you ever have a chance to. And if you go online to hustlerhollywood.com, if you go to hustler.com, it's a whole nother thing. But if you go to hustlerhollywood.com, they have all the wigs that are like the ones that you can style, and they're completely synthetic and all that. And they're super adorable, and they're cheap. They're only like $50. Like, this was a $300 wig. And like, my dog got a hold of it, ripped it apart. I threw my extensions in it, and then I tried to style it, and it frizzed out. So I was like, shit, dude, like, this is not worth it. So don't get the fucking $300 bullshit. Just go to Hustler, get the $50 one, call it a fucking day.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Pulled up your Pornhub history. What are we gonna find? Her eyes got huge.
Girl, can I tell you guys something really honestly?
Yeah.
I don't watch porn. And the reason why, oh my god, this is so TMI right now. I watch like our porn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, and it just, like, I don't even have to watch it. Like, if it's in my head, I'm like,
Yeah.
good to go. So,
Yeah.
so no, I don't know, because, like, I can't remember the last time, like, I went to watch porn. But, oh my god, I can't believe I'm even answering this, but that's the answer.
That would honestly be my answer too. I mean, if you would search my history, you would see something. But, yeah, I would. If I'm going to pull up a video, it would be one of ours. I'm not,
yeah, there's something. It's just more like it. Like, for me, like, sex is. I've never really been into it. Like, it's not something that is a draw for me. I could go without it forever.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in a relationship, right? So for me, it's really about the emotional side of it. Like, am I feeling connected to whatever it is that I'm watching? And that's why there was always a disconnect for me and porn. Like, I never really felt like it was really enough. And so I just really didn't care for it. And then, you know, I started watching our stuff or something that he'll send me or things like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm into that. Because I can, like, really know what that would feel like, or like what it would, you know, I can relate to it more. It's more like.
Do you have any fetishes?
I love you. You're so fucking cute. You're so cute. You're like, I just like it rough. Like, I just like to get slapped and shit.
What's your steez?
Yeah, that is my stuff. Yeah.
I do have to say though, like, if we're gonna be completely honest about it, oh my god, this is so funny. So like the other day, like, it just happened. It's never happened to me before, but like, we were doing our thing and Rudy started stepping on my toes.
Uh-oh. Okay, well.
I was like, what is that? I couldn't believe it. I was like, I get it. I fucking get it, right? Huh?
Does he have a foot fetish? Is that a thing for
No.
him? Or, no.
Nope.
He just loves
Never
your body.
came up. Never happened before. But it happened, and I was like, this is fucking crazy, right? Because I never understood it. Like, and when you said, like, you had your side business with the feet stuff,
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I've had questions about that. I'm like, I'm not selling pictures of my feet. Like, I hate my fucking feet. And so, like, I never understood it. I never got it until he stepped on my toes, and I was like,
Well, hello.
I was like, whoa, that was fucking. It was the most wild thing I've ever experienced. But also at the same time, like, he was doing this thing, so it was awesome.
I love that. Maybe I need to
Explore.
try it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Give us go, girl.
I don't have cute feet. People just randomly like them, which is the weirdest thing. It's like, I've always hated my feet, and there's a market for everyone, apparently.
There is, girl. And I think maybe it's probably because they're like yours and they're different. I have a hard time imagining that it's just about feet. Like, I really have a hard time imagining. Like, I think it has to do with, like, whose feet they are, you know, and, like, where they've been.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. Human beings are strange. Well, we're the only beings that have sex because it's in pleasure and enjoyment. Every other being is just to keep pushing their genetics and their species on, right? And human beings are like, well, we're just intelligent and bored, so we're just going to experiment.
Yeah.
Such as
right.
life.
Yes.
Are you embarrassed easily? Like in life? You are? What's one of your most embarrassing stories? I want to tell you guys mine. You think of yours. I'm going to tell you mine. I'm not embarrassed very easily, really at all. In college, I went to visit my friend in California, and just things worked out, and I literally didn't come home. Like, I didn't take my return flight. Yeah, and so my dad had to go pack up my dorm room, and he called my mom and was like, I found.
Oh, no.
And I, again, my parents are so Southern too, like never talked about sex or anything sexual. He's like, there's like there's a vibrator. And I can just imagine like my dad. So he had to pack up my vibrator.
Oh my God, that is my worst
Can you
nightmare.
imagine him though? Like, I'm sure he obviously grabbed a bunch of socks or something to like do whatever he could to not touch it.
That's hilarious. Because my sex bag is actually like a duffel bag. It's so big now. We always talk about how we're just gonna have to get a huge suitcase for it. I always, like, randomly, but like I tell my sister, like, hey, if I die or me and Rico die, because I don't want Kai to have to like pack up my sex bag. I just like think about that all the time. I'm like, I need you to get my laptop and I need you to get that suitcase. Like, yeah, I don't want anyone else finding my freaky stuff. Like, I'd rather just my sister pack it up.
Exactly. I told the same thing. Well, I made arrangements. You never know. In the shooting industry, you never fucking know when you're playing with firearms.
Yeah.
But my sister, because I don't know why, but my Face ID works for her. And so, I mean, we tested the whole thing, tried it a million times. Like, it, without fail, will open for her. And so I'm like, okay, if I die, you get my phone. Okay, you open it up. You delete everything. I was like, you burn that bitch to the ground, right? And then I'm like, and then will you please like take my dog and like take care of my dog for me, because like I don't want him to go anywhere outside the family. But I found my most I wouldn't say it was the most embarrassing, but it was traumatizing. Are you ready?
Yeah, tell us.
So I was like, oh fucking A, dude. I probably was like 16 years old. I was with my boyfriend for like fucking 2 years. I mean, I think we were together for even longer than that. Still like love him. I'm not in love with him, but I care for him, like poor guy. But so like we were home alone at first, and then like I started hearing people come in, but like we were getting freaky deaky, so I didn't fucking think anything. I didn't care, right? I was like, I don't fucking care. The blinds were shut, the light was on, I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And so my door was shut, so I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. But because it was kind of quiet, I didn't realize my mom had came home. And, I was so young, guys. Like, I was so young. And my mom had came home, and I heard them saying, like, where's Jade? But I wasn't in the fucking mind space to even think about it. Like, I was like, fucking, I'm right here, bitch. Like, leave me alone. I didn't say anything. And so then all of a sudden, like, we're in the middle, and we're, like, on the floor. And, like, he's on top of me. And, like, we're getting freaky. My mom walks in the room. And I'm butt-ass naked. I'm like, I cling to him. I'm like, Mom! And she is mortified. She's mortified. We're mortified. So she's like, and my mom isn't like, she's not anything, like, she's cool. Like, we had talked about, like, we have a very open relationship. She was flustered. She runs out of the room. My boyfriend at the time, his name's Matt. Matt is mortified. He's like, I'm jumping out the window. I said, no, you're fucking not. I said, you're not leaving. I was like, no, we're gonna go out there. We're gonna talk to her. Okay, we're gonna go out there. We're gonna fucking talk to my mother, because we can't let this define our relationship, because it will fuck it up. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, this is going to be something that we can all learn from. So I drag his sorry ass out there. I'm like, fuck it, you know. I'm like, it's my mom. Like I don't, you know, fuck it. Like my mom's seen worse. And so we go out there, and my mom was like, you know, just like breathing really heavily, and she was like, okay, so she's like, it's normal, it's natural. I would rather you guys like be here than anywhere else. So I talked to her about it recently, like what went through her mind.
Yeah.
She said, Jade, I freaked out. I didn't know what the fuck to do. She called her best friend, Debbie, and she's like, Debbie, this just happened. And Debbie's like, Cindy, it's fine. She's like, it's fine. They're kids, you know, like, it's fine. Like, you know, she's on birth control, you know, they've been together for fucking years. Like, it's fine. And, like, my mom's like, I don't know what to do. She's like, stop freaking out. Get your shit together, be a grown-ass adult, and go and talk to your daughter. And now we laugh about it. But at the time, like, you know, he didn't come around for quite some time. But we all, like, it was fine. But that was one of the first, like, oh, my God, what just happened moments.
Yeah.
But I got over it pretty quickly. But I'll never forget it, you know? It's one of those things. But it brought me and my mom closer, you know?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I think that's the only way you could do it. Just, you got to go out there and face it if that was the case.
He's like, I'm going to run out the window. I said, who the fuck do you think you are? I'm like, you know, if you run out there, it's fucking over. I'm like, we're done. Mainly because I'm like, you can't leave me here alone. And I remember I was sitting on the floor with like my head in my hands, like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what would like a responsible person do? And I was like, this is what we would do. We're going to go out there and we're going to face this shit. We're going to learn from it. You know? Like, but still, at least we can laugh about it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We're going to get to our final question. Every episode, we're going to ask our guest this question. What do you think makes you nasty? Do you want to elaborate on that?
Wow.
I would say, like, I thought about it too when I was setting up all my stuff. I was like, I really think it's like my overcommitment to things, right? And like this, if I get an idea in my head, I'm going to commit to it so hard that it's going to become part of who I am as a person. And it may change later on, but I would say like the number one thing is like how I overly commit to things. And it might be a detriment, I have no idea. But I think that's probably why I've gotten to where I'm at in my life, is because it's kind of like this, like, throw caution to the wind if it's something that I really think I want to do, or it's something that, in all respect of it being something that is good, right? That I'm just going to go for it no matter what. And also in the same respect, I'll overcommit to not doing something. Just like with breaking up, like if it's done, I'm so fucking committed to breaking up with you, like it's fucking done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and you'll never hear from me again.
Yeah.
So I would say like that would be it for me, is like my overly committed self of like, at least I did it, you know, at least I'm all in, or I'm all the fucking way out. But like I'm all there, you know, I'm not half in, half out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you coming. I forgot to tell you, actually, I did a full, on both of my Instagrams, I kind of just asked, you know, what people thought of you, and everyone just had, like, such great things to say. One person was like, she looks Russian as your character as Iskra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all say her name wrong. It's fine.
What is it? What is
Shouldn't
it?
give a fuck.
How do we say it?
I say Iskra, but some other people say Eskra.
Oh, okay. So I've been saying Iskra,
I'm like,
so I guess we'll...
Yeah, I don't. She looks like a fucking dyke, so I just call her the dyke.
Yeah.
And it sounds horrible, but I'm like, where did those thighs come from? I don't even know her. Like, people are like, oh, you're from college. You're her. You're Iskra. I'm like, I'm not her.
Right.
That's not me. I'm like, that's just my face. They did not use my body. They didn't use my voice. There's no connection. But I do appreciate the opportunity to have been in it, and that kind of like with what we talked about with the actor side of the fence, like how we feel like they're a part of our lives. But what I love about her is that she's been able to be a part of people's lives and something that they enjoy doing, like a hobby, you know. Like, and if I can contribute with my image to that and help in some way keep it alive and put blood behind it, I'm all for it, you know. And for that reason, like, I am Iskra. But at the same time, I'm like,
And how
she's just a
fucking cool.
character.
I read that she is the most downloaded avatar. Would you call it that? Or would you
Is
say
it skin?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Skin? Yeah. I didn't know that.
She's the most downloaded.
No,
Awesome.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
but everyone just said you're so quick and you're amazing and you're a badass, and they were really surprised that as starting a podcast that we'd have such a big guest on so fast.
Girl, I'm not big. You guys are big. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you. I was like, I told Rudy, I said, babe, because he knows that he kind of knows I listen to Call Her Daddy. It's just, I kind of like give him the summary of it. I said, babe, I'm doing a podcast. I said, it's not traditional. Like, I'm like, it's not like anything I've done before. It has nothing to do with shooting, which I appreciate because, like, I'm so fucking over talking about, like, guns. I mean, I'm grateful. I love them, but I'm not like this, a fanatic. It's like something that is just a part of me, so I don't know why, I don't have much to say about it that's not already known. But I said, baby, we're doing something. And it's different. I've never done it before. And I'm like, and I told him, it's like nasty girl and I'm into it. And I'm like, so, it might be like unconventional, but I'm looking forward to it, and like I said, we'll see, But, yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was fun. It was nice to talk, like have a girl chat, a little sister session, Thank you.
This is good in a pandemic too. We need some girl talk for sure.
Yeah. And some openness, like, I'm just not used to talking about all of these things like so openly. So I'm sorry if I was like, but no, I appreciate it. And I like what you guys are doing, especially for opening up a forum for women to be like open. Like that's why I liked, the idea of what you guys are doing is because I'm like, well, why can't we have these conversations?
Right.
Why can't we be open about them? And also why can't we be both things? Why can't we be like who we really are internally and also externally, and like stop pretending like we're not human beings.
In the age of the internet, you've got 60 seconds, so people are doing the most like raunchy, crazy things, and I just hope that young adults know that there are other avenues and there are other ways, so hopefully we'll reach that.
And I think also what's important that you guys are doing is you're normalizing sex for women, right? And like, for me, when I go to like the sex shop and I go to get like lube or whatever for us, I'll talk to the ladies there, and there's so much misinformation and lack of information, and so much that people don't know. Like I was talking to one of my girlfriends about anal, and I just asked her if she did it, because I'm like, I love it, and but Rudy's the only one that really felt safe enough to even explore that side with Trude, fucking really, because it's so vulnerable, and there's a lot of risk, and so I was talking to my friend about it, and she was like, no, every time I do it, it hurts. And I talked to the lady at Hustler about it, and she was like some girl came in there and said, well, it's supposed to hurt. And we're like, no, it's not supposed to hurt. There's a way to do these things. And I think that, a lot of girls will like do things or experiment with things or, because it's going to be good for their partner. But what there's also a lack of is that, no, sex is supposed to be for the both of you. Like you're supposed to enjoy it. It's supposed to make you feel good. You're not supposed to be in pain. You're supposed to be able to express yourself, and it also needs to be about you too. And it needs to be a normalized conversation of not making it taboo and making it something that is informative and that you can teach people. Like especially with anal, it's like you need to build up to it. You can't just shove it in and hope it works. You know what I mean? Like no, you gotta have like they make things for this. They make like special lube and they make toys and they make things to help like make the process actually enjoyable and safe. And like I went to the Hustler store and I saw that there was like this desensitizing cream, and so I asked her about it, and she was like, I wouldn't recommend that because it'll desensitize you, so you won't know if like you've licked or anything like that, or if you're doing some damage, and B, it could also desensitize your partner, so you don't want that either. And I was like, oh shit, thank God I asked a question about this, because like I wouldn't have known that there was going to be either physical repercussions to it, or things that we're gonna have to deal with later on down the line. And so even the fact that we're like to be comfortable enough to even talk about it, like I have friends that go to sex shops that feel like they can't even go into a sex shop, and I'm like, why not? Like you can go in there and you can talk about these things and it's normal, and like you should be able to go in there and ask questions and get information and it not be something that makes you uncomfortable. Like we shouldn't be uncomfortable also saying that we have sex, right? Like like we're human beings. You guys have babies. Like I want to have babies. Been trying for quite some time now, you know. So it's like this is normal shit. So what I love about what you guys are doing is opening up that conversation. And I think what would be a good thing later on down the line is maybe if you get like a sex expert on to talk about like information and inform, you know, ladies about, you know, the different facets of what we're doing and how it can be, you know, what are all the risks, what are all the rewards, and what is normal.
Right.
You know, like even at Hustler, like one of the girls said that she had a lady come in that was like 60 and never had an orgasm. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, but that's the thing is like, it's about like, and thank goodness, like sex needs to be for both parties. It needs to be for women. Like it needs to be something that we feel comfortable and confident enough to say, hey, do this, and about finding your voice, like, and finding a partner that you can do that with, and like, you know, exploring that. Like with Rudy, I mean, I dirty talk with Rudy, and I've never been comfortable doing that in my fucking life. I never let anyone suck on my toes either. So, but like, and that's what's cool about what you guys are doing is you can explore those conversations and say, yeah, this is what, you know, this is. If you're not comfortable with like doing these things, find out what your partner likes. You know, like my ex would always ask me like, what's your fantasy? And it would always freak me out because I knew that he was thinking of something like, oh, like, do you want to have a threesome, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like, my fantasy is, like, I want to have babies and find a husband and, like, make love, like, for the first time, like, actually have it be real.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you find the confidence to even say that? And through people like you guys and what you guys are doing, maybe women can find the confidence to say that, you know, and to express themselves and be completely open. And there's a vulnerability to it that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
But I love what you guys are doing, and it's important. And thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. We love that. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you and where they can learn more about you?
Yeah, I'm on. Well, they're not going to learn as much about me as they learn on here. Okay, I'm going to tell you that much right now, girls. Like, well, and thank you for giving me an environment where I could be like Jade. I don't have to be like what other people think that I am. You know. Yeah. Which is something that I want to do, but it's about finding an environment that is safe, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they're not going to find that. But I'm on Instagram, Jade Struck, like Jade Struck by Lightning, but it's just Jade Struck. Mm-hmm. And Facebook, Jade Struck Pro, Twitter's Jade Struck Pro, Facebook, Jade Struck Official. Just Jade Struck, if you look it up, you'll find it. You'll probably find some other shit, but you know.
Again.
Fuck it. You know, small part, play small part, you know? Yeah. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. We love you.
You guys are beautiful.
You're a badass.
I love you too. And this is going to be awesome. And if you guys need anything.
Today's episode is brought to you by Hustler Hollywood. We know that being sexy means being comfortable with who you are. That's why we find sexy in all shapes and sizes, colors and creeds, lifestyles and identities. Our range of products reflect our understanding of this all-encompassing definition. You can shop with them online at hustlerhollywood.com.